Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Felicia and I have filmed this episode 10 times already. But never mind, it's here now. So today we're talking about shutter angle and shutter speed, and they are the same thing. It's two different ways of saying the same thing. Shutter angle tends to be obviously measured in angles and used in cinema, and shutter speed is measured in fractions of a second, and that is used in photography. But obviously now, new age, we're using DSLRs as film cameras, so we kind of need to know the principles of both, or at least how they relate to each other. So let's go back to where it all started, and that's with shutter angle. So a rotating shutter can usually be found inside a cinema camera. It is literally a disc with a small opening, and that opening allows for the exposure of a single frame of footage. And the opening of that rotating disc is your shutter angle. The more open that angle, the more exposure and the more motion blur, and the more close to that angle, the less exposure and the less motion blur, the more jagged the image is. Typically, it's measured as a 45 degree, a 90 degree, a 180 degree, or a 270 degree. You can really adjust that a lot of different ways, but typically, these are the ones that are used, with 180 degrees being the standard for motion picture across the board. It gives the correct amount of motion blur. So typically 45 degrees and 90 degree shutters are used when you're doing a fast action sequence, things like a car chase or a fight, something with a lot of action packed into it where everything needs to be in focus or played out to its fullest so that the audience can actually see what's happening. You can also use this to heighten the tension of a scenario, as everything is almost hyper real. On the opposite end of the spectrum, if you open up your shutter angle more than 180 degrees, you start to experience motion blur. Typically, or stereotypically, this sort of thing is used in cinema to denote that the character is either drunk, drugged, or having a flashback. So really, shutter angle is a great tool to get across tension or disconnection from reality. So let's talk about the relationship between shutter angle and shutter speed. Obviously, as I said earlier, they're pretty much the same thing, they're just two different ways of saying the same thing. If we were to take a 180 degree shutter, which is your standard, and change it into a shutter speed, you would do the following math. So we have a 180 degree shutter, which is half of a full 360, so that is our fraction there, that's what we start with, and we times that 2 by the frames per second, which ends up getting us 50. So we make that 1/50th of a second. It's the same with NTSC regions as well, so if you're shooting 24 or 30, you do exactly the same thing. That's not to say that it is a strict, hard and fast rule. You can use whatever shutter angle you like, as long as you accept that if you do have anything of a higher nature, like 1/100th of a second, which is actually a 90 degree shutter, you're gonna have less motion blur, and if you go the opposite end of the spectrum, you're gonna have more. As long as you accept that fact, and if that is an effect that you're after, go for it. If you're looking for something that is the most cinema-like and the most appealing, you probably want to go with the 180 degree shutter, or 1/50th of a second. So you might be a bit confused. A 90 degree shutter is 1/100th of a second. 1/100th of a second is a larger number, but a larger number in a shutter angle is actually the opposite effect. You gotta be careful there. So yes, 1/100th of a second is actually a 90 degree shutter. If you think about it, 90 degrees is a quarter of 360 degrees, therefore we have to times our frame rate by 4 instead of 2, which means 25 becomes 100, and we have 1/100th of a second. So obviously the one takeaway from this is if you are gonna be shooting in a different shutter angle or shutter speed, you have to remember that you are either gonna lose light or gain light, gain exposure, depending on which way you go. So if I wanna shoot my hand waving in front of a camera at a 90 degree shutter to get less motion blur, and I'm currently shooting at a 180 degree shutter, I'm obviously gonna lose light. Now I can compensate that either way. Fortunately, in this scenario, I haven't actually lit myself into a corner. I do have a couple of stops up my sleeve, and I can open up using that f-stop. If I didn't, I could look at using other methods like adding lights, which remember, might take time to set up. So if you're on a schedule and that sort of thing happens, it could throw it completely off. But I could also change the ISO. I'm just going to be wary that this might also change the noise pattern of my image. So thank you very much for watching. I do hope you gained something from this video, and if you did and you enjoyed the video, please remember to give it a big fat thumbs up, and if you would like to see more of my face and learn a little bit more about filmmaking in the process, remember to subscribe, and I'll see you next Sunday.